What is up, everybody? Friends, followers of KP, how are you all doing? So, anyway, it's your boy Tom, and today we are going to be kicking off another sample of the week. And this week, KP has instructed me to write about cuffing season. What is cuffing season? Cuffing season is a period between the beginning of October and the end of February where people are more likely to get into relationships, particularly those who live in colder climates. So anyway, this has been a hot topic of discussion in pop culture for a long time. Cuffing, implying handcuffs, like you're being cuffed to your potential mate. Anyway, this is basically, this is something that everyone kind of knows to be true, but no one has really proven to be true. Actually, that's not true at all. This is something that everybody knows to be true, and science can also back it up as well. So anyway, we are going to crank through a 3-page essay about cuffing season and the science behind it. So you've heard about this in movies, rap songs, pop culture. Today we are going to scientifically prove that cuffing season does in fact exist. So anyway, the science behind cuffing season. And we'll put in some provocative words there, the reason for whatever. All right, cool. So anyway, we're going to do this in about an hour as always. So anyway, let's get started. So Cite This For Me is here. Google. Start off on good old Google and cuffing season science. So I haven't done much research on this at all. I basically know that this is true, but I haven't really read the data on it, but I've just heard that it's basically true. So we're going to prove it. All right, so anyway, while Uncle Google is doing his thing, we're just going to go over here and we're going to start writing. So, how to start? Human companionship is something of a social imperative and a phenomenon that is shared amongst virtually every member of the species. The need for romantic love is one which transcends sexuality alone and Jesus, this sounds like a freaking scientific study already. Transcends sexuality alone and is an integral aspect of the human emotional experience. Companionship, however, is not a phenomenon that is free of outside influence, and one would be sadly mistaken if they were to state that their environment, and perhaps even benign details about one's everyday experience do not play an integral, I said integral twice here, play a key role in influencing one's decision to meet and mate with others. Cuffing season, or the period between the beginning of October and end of February, has been scientifically proven to be a legitimate phenomenon, specifically when considering pop cultural relevancy. So we're going to scientifically proven. At the end of February is a legitimate phenomenon. When individuals are most likely to form new relationships, pop cultural relevancy, data from blank, because I know there's some data out there, and even human evolutionary biology. Okay, so there's our thesis. It's a bit long. So let's just say cuffing season is the period between the beginning of October and end of February, when individuals are most likely to form new relationships. Though often dismissed, it is an entirely legitimate phenomenon. All right, cool. So that's much shorter and more succinct. So anyway, the notion of cuffing season and its first ever etymological, however the hell you say that, it means the meaning of words. Etymological usage dates back to blank. That's basically we're going to talk about early on. However, to say that it is relegated to would be entirely false. In fact, it appears in a multitude of films and music, with blank being perhaps one of today's most culturally relevant examples. Though proliferation throughout pop culture alone is certainly not enough to prove the existence of something as ambitious as what could be described as a human mating season of sorts. One cannot deny the relevance of it, which indubitably accounts for something when making the argument for its legitimacy. Beyond pop culture alone, one can look to hard data from blank. So anyway, you'll see what I just did there. This is one thing, like, you can kind of fill out where you think that stuff is going to go, and I'm just kind of assuming that these facts are out there. I've just done this so much that, 5 minutes, we already have one page done. Now, what I do know about cuffing season is that there's data from like OkCupid and Tinder and these other online dating services. So that will be it right here. So, the age of information has created a multitude of opportunities to prove opportunities for human behavioral patterns to reveal themselves in a way that they could not in the absence of technology. And here we're going to talk about online dating and that kind of stuff. Lastly, we will make an appeal to the ethos of a famed evolutionary psychologist. Evolutionary psychology. So evolutionary psychology is the psychology behind human evolution and the transition that humans have arguably made throughout their history from a less developed species to what we are today. So in that case, use multitude there. Numerous figures within the scientific community have actually weighed in on this seemingly humorous phenomenon. Though one can harp on about pop culture and data from online dating services, the argument of cuffing season being legitimate is further bolstered by the opinions of none other than blank. And then I believe that, what's this guy's name, that famous evolutionary psychologist? So he said something about this too, and then there's our conclusion, and then cool. So that's basically our essay right there, guys. In just under 10 minutes, we have a pretty strong idea of how this is going to look. Now, we've started off with our template here. We kind of know everything's going to be. Now we just have to find the information and add in the sources. But I guess that's what that's what years and years of doing this stuff will do for you. So anyway, cuffing season science, cool. Here we go. So evolutionary psychology, cuffing season, evolutionary psychology, and cold weather mating patterns. Derp, derp, derp. Okay. Monmouth.edu. What university is that? Who cares? It looks good. Discover Magazine. Okay. So you're going to get a lot of BS. You're going to get a lot of BS whenever you look up a fun science topic like this. Psychology Today is good. .edus are good, but we want to try to avoid some newspaper tabloid type stuff. Again, we can if we have to. But I do believe in the last sample of the week that we did use a few of those. So in the interest of showing you guys how we can smash out excellent sources, then we will be avoiding them. Okay, so mismatch, sexual strategies theory, psychology, cold weather cohabitation. Okay, so short-term mating strategy. All right, cool. So I like this Jack Demarest fellow. He seems to be a pretty legit source on this. So that's right, David Buss. David Buss's work is very interesting. He's an evolutionary psychologist I became aware of while doing this job. Cuffing season. He always talks about controversial fun stuff like sex and that kind of thing. He's a pretty, cool modern guy too, so I'm hoping he has something interesting to say about this. That's one thing you'll often find is whenever choosing myself as a writer, you get to call upon all the stuff I've learned just throughout this whole little adventure. So it doesn't look like David Buss has much to say about this, and that's fine. But this can be our use of ethos. Major period of spring breakups. All right, cool. So cuffing season, pop culture, pop culture, popular culture. Cuffing season. Okay, so where did the term? Men are 15% more likely. Okay, so they're referencing a study. I love that. Cuffing season, etymology. So cuffing season's been around since 2011. Okay, cool. So there we go. Dates back to as recent as 2011. Merriam-Webster reports that from a historical perspective, it was first utilized in campus newspapers, referencing the urban vernacular of cuff, a slang term about entering a monogamous relationship. However, to say that it is relegated to the early 2010s, that its use is relegated. All right, so let's find what's a popular Netflix and chill. That might be a good sample of the week right there. Okay, Fabulous. Ooh, oh boy, there's a song. Oh no, do we gotta listen to the song, guys? I think we do. Oh man. Fabulous. Okay, cool. With rapper Fabulous, aptly titled 2013 single, Cuffing Season. Alright, now did the song get any love? Did it hit? Oh man. Alright, so we gotta go. Dating apps cuffing season. 15% more likely cuffing season. Alright, so do dating apps actually find out about cuffing season? Alright, so maybe not. Okay, so Vogue. 15%, alright, cool. Oh, okay, so Hinge did this. Alright, everybody loves Hinge. So... Hinge, one of the market's leading dating apps, recently released a set of data that backs up the infamous assertion that Fabulous put forth in 2013. They found that men in particular are 15% more likely to enter into a new committed relationship upon the turning of the seasons. The study states that, boom, come on, Hinge. Hinge cuffing season data. Okay, so they receive the most downloads during October each fall. Okay, there's a lot of good data here. Hinge. Hinge. All right, cool. The app state that this is... Alright, so we needed something else there too. Okay, so cool. To state that this is the only objective data available on this topic would be false. In fact, a recent report from CNET also states that across two very different commercially non-affiliated dating apps, one can observe a similar phenomenon. Individuals seeking solace and intimacy in the winter months after a in the winter months. Yet, to fully understand why precisely this takes place, one must look to the opinions of today's most esteemed experts on human mating patterns to best understand why. The why behind cuffing season itself. Okay. Alright, where was that .edu? Yeah, right, cool. Dr. Okay, so by the opinions of experts. For instance, Jack Demarest, a psychology professor, has stated that this begs the question of whether or not cuffing season is an evolutionary adaptation, where for much of human history, resources would be in short supply and the outside world far less hospitable than in the warmer months. From a purely practical perspective, it would make perfect sense that cohabitation would occur when survival was made more difficult, with the assumption that men and women would participate in roles complementary to each other's survival. Now, you have to be careful making arguments like this in today's world. I feel okay about referencing it from an evolutionary perspective, though. Aha! Alright, cool. So, if this was the case, however, one could expect to see another pattern. A concurrently high, concurrently high rates of singlehood. Singlehood? Is that a word? I think it is. I'm going to highlight it. of singlehood starting in the summer months. Yet, another study seems to argue exactly this. And all this information I've just pulled from this article right here. So, Summer Lovin' or Summer Leaving by Gary Lenondowski. Let's find that. Okay. If the assertion of a hostile environment encouraging relationships is true, is true, then it would be expected that the inverse would also be true during during times of blank. My brain's blanking right now. Okay, so in the article, from an assertion, this claim is, by and large, made. He argues that when pulling data from Facebook status updates regarding relationships, alas, cuffing season strikes again. Once more, one can observe yet another piece of data substantiating the notion that humans tend to seek relationships during colder months while freely eschewing them once the season has passed. Let's try to pull one or two more nice things from here. The end of March, okay. The peak month for when breakups were most likely to occur. When considering all of the above data, it is difficult to argue against the notion of cuffing season. While cuffing season could possibly be dismissed as little more than an urban myth, the data paints a different picture. Cuffing season is an observable human phenomenon that makes total sense from an evolutionary, social, and data-driven perspective. With undeniable relevance within today's cultural milieu, data from the world's largest dating apps substantiating a pattern of new relationships and accompanying breakups as per cuffing season's fabled schedule, and opinions of renowned experts, one is safe to say that cuffing season is not something that can be ignored. With this knowledge, one can prepare themselves. One can better be aware of their own behavioral patterns and utilize a holistic, albeit scientific perspective to better navigate their dating life and ultimately the world at large. World at large! Boom! Time to proofread. So now here we are in Grammarly. As always, we quickly burn through the correctness options. Those are pretty much always the most accurate ones. Grammarly can have false positives like that one. But adding in dashes, that's false. And of course, as always, I don't suggest just burning through Grammarly unless you can read super fast like me. And then you need to have some experience because you'll know what categories it can ultimately do good with and which ones are best avoided. So, okay, some passive voice, we'll eliminate that. But not too many changes, thank goodness. Oh, let's check our expert, formal, and academic, as always, because we are writing formally, academically, and like experts. Nevertheless, and however, cool. Okay. Ha! I have so much passive voice. I'll zap it. Actually, really not too much passive voice. that its use love Grammarly. Okay. Okay, so these two tasteful instances of passive voice. I'm going to keep both of those because I just like how they sound. So, when you know the rules, you learn how to break them. Okay, now we got to add in our citations. The science behind cuffing season. Cold weather and cohabitation. There we go. And then something I like to do is sometimes mention the title in the final sentence just because it's a little, ooh, oh my god. But I think that this clincher is already really good. So, human companionship is a social imperative and a phenomenon shared amongst virtually every member of the species. The need for romantic love transcends sexuality alone as an integral aspect of the human emotional experience. Companionship, however, is not a phenomenon that is free of outside influence, that is free of external influence. And one is mistaken. And one is sadly mistaken if that their environment and perhaps even delicate details about one's everyday experience do not play a key role in one's decision to meet and mate with others. Cool. Cuffing season is a term used to describe the time between the beginning of October and the end of February, when individuals are most likely to form new relationships. Though often dismissed, cuffing season is a legitimate phenomenon, specifically when considering pop culture relevancy, data from today's leading dating apps, and even the opinions of leading evolutionary psychologists. Great. The notion of cuffing season, its first ever etymological use, dates back to as recent as 2011. It was first coined by campus newspapers referencing the urban vernacular of cuff a slang term regarding entering a monogamous relationship. Okay, so now we're going to add in our citations. So MLA, bang, bang, bang. Oh, that's lovely. When is cuffing season? Then I always put these citations a few days back and just a force of habit so that it doesn't look like this was a paper that was written at the very last minute. Okay, good. Merriam-Webster, we're just going to shorten up the citation. How do you spell that guy's name? Fabulos. Fabulos. Chart. Because there's a Wikipedia for that. Really should be. Fabulos. Okay, go back here. And then this was also mentioned in Merriam-Webster, believe it or not. 13 hit single. And I don't really feel like we need to add in more information about this because we're already at our length. Their proliferation throughout pop culture alone is certainly not enough to prove the existence of something as ambitious as a human mating season of sorts. One cannot deny its relevance. One cannot deny its relevance, which indubitably counts for something when making the argument for its legitimacy. One can also look to hard data from big tech, from big tech that helps to prove the point that cuffing season is shockingly relevant to anyone in the modern dating market. Okay. Okay, cool. So now we gotta pop back here. Okay, so now that we have done our adding in of sources, we are going to do our final or second to final read through. So here we go. Both films and music. One can also look to hard data from big tech that helps to prove the point that cuffing season is shockingly relevant to anybody in the modern dating market. Cool. All right. Cool. All right. The one can harp on regarding pop culture and data from online dating services. Further bolstered by expert opinion. Benefits both men and women. Cool. Nice. Okay, that looks good. Concurrently high rates of breakups starting in the spring months. Another study seems to argue precisely this. Assertion of a hostile environment encouraging companionship is true, then it would be expected the inverse affirms itself during times of milder climates. Cool. This claim is, by and large, made. He argues that when pulling data from Facebook status updates regarding relationships, last cuffing season strikes again. Once more, one can observe yet another piece of data substantiating the notion that humans tend to seek relationships during colder months while freely eschewing them once the season has passed. Observed March as being the peak month for when breakups were more likely to occur. Considering all the above data, it is challenging to argue definitively against the notion of cuffing season. Cool, okay. Makes total sense from an evolutionary, social, and data-driven perspective. Statistics. I just said data there, so I wanted to use statistics right here. It can be brushed aside. With this knowledge, one can be better aware of their behavioral patterns and utilize a holistic, albeit scientific perspective to better navigate their dating life and ultimately the world at large. Cool. Okay, so final quality check here. We've run Grammarly twice. We've used the best citation generator to generate our citations. Everything's originally written. Proper structure. 3 read-throughs now. Now we're going to do our 4th. So here we go again. I'm going to remove this sentence right here because we said it. Its use remains confined to the early 2010s would be false, and then we talk about in 2013 it being used. So that's just not a great succession of ideas. So I'm just going to zap that, and we're still well within length. So sometimes you make something better by taking things away. Not prevalence, let's not relevance, let's say prevalence. Upon the turning of the season in October. It's October, ladies and gentlemen. The study states that the app across two, we won't say very different, but different commercially non-affiliated dating apps, one can observe a similar phenomenon. Individuals seeking solace and intimacy during the winter months. Nevertheless, to fully understand why this occurs, one must look to the opinions of today's most esteemed experts on human mating patterns to best understand the why behind cuffing season itself. Bang. Numerous figures within the scientific community have weighed in on this seemingly humorous phenomenon. We'll just say have weighed in on this phenomenon. Seemingly humorous, we just don't need to say that. We can harp on regarding pop culture and data from online dating. The argument of legitimacy is further bolstered by expert opinions and appeal to ethos. And show the survival in an evolutionary context. Coincidentally, cuffing season seems to strike again. Once the season has passed, most likely to right at the beginning of the spring season for much of the planet. The data paints a different picture. One can be better aware of their behavioral patterns and utilize a holistic, albeit scientific, perspective to navigate their dating life and ultimately the world at large. Great. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to ship this one off. So there you go. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you've stuck with me till the very end here, I greatly appreciate it. So thank you for that, and I hope you've learned something here. And additionally, and if you would like a similar level of quality and care put into any work that you've been given, I would be more than happy to do it. So please feel free to get in touch on KP, and I would love to work with you. Have a nice rest of your day. See you soon. Peace.